and welcome to Globetrotting with Gillespie. Yes, it's me, Dan and Gillespie, on a nice smooth sofa, and I'm actually in the Middle Eight Hotel here in Covent Garden, just round the corner from the Freemasons Temple, the Lodge. And so we're right in the centre of London, and it's for a book launch, a very important book launch, because the subject matter is extremely important. And I'd like you to meet the man who put this book together, Adrian Houston. Hello, Adrian.
Hello.
Now, I'd better hold this thing up, actually. This is the book, and I want you to tell me why you went in for trees. What's your thing about trees?
What's my thing about trees? Well, I think growing up in Scotland on the west coast, obviously I was immersed by lots of trees all around me. And I think sort of moving on from there, I think with all the tree disease, pollution, global warming, all the things affecting trees, I realised that they are in big danger. So it was for me trying to raise awareness of the importance of trees and to raise money to combat tree disease.
Raising money by something to do with this book? Or?
Yeah, so the book is linked to a charity called Action Oak,
okay,
which is a charity that Prince Charles set up.
He's great,
And
he's marvellous.
He is.
I'm a huge fan.
And a lot of our ancient oaks are now being affected by a particular disease. So he set this charity up to raise money to see if they can research the disease and do something about it.
What's the name of the disease of oaks?
It's oak wilt.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I knew that elms and things were in trouble, but
well, I mean,
are we destroying our whole planet, or certainly British planet, because we're famous for trees?
We are famous for trees. I mean, for instance, our ash trees have got an ash dieback disease. There's something like 120 million trees. 90% of those are going to die, probably, and that's a huge impact on the environment.
How can we, as normal people, do something apart from buying your book? I mean, what can the average man on the street do?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, the problem is with a disease is that most of the trees are all from the same family. So when a disease comes along, when it gets one, they all go. So there's a thing called the Future Trees Trust,
Mm-hmm.
which is a charity, but what they do is they cross-pollinate the same species of trees but from other countries. So when a disease comes around, obviously they're not all from the same family, so they survive. So they're developing lots of new trees that hopefully are more resistant to pollution and
What a
disease.
depressing thing. I mean, aren't we in a terrible state?
No, we are in a pretty bad state. I mean, and at the end of the day, if there's no trees, then we're not going to be here either.
We won't breathe.
No.
Have you yourself got a favourite tree?
I have.
Is it in the book?
It is in the book.
Oh, show us it. I think we better see.
I'm not quite sure what page it's on, but...
How long did it take you to get this book together?
To get the book together, not that long actually, it was only about a year, but the project's been going on for quite some time.
But even just taking the photo, you took all the pictures.
Yeah.
That's what you are. You're a photographer, among many other things I know.
Yeah.
What are the other things? Let everyone know.
That's my favourite tree.
Ooh.
And that's up in Glencoe.
Look at that tree.
That's up in Glencoe in Scotland. And I used to... When I was about 7 or 8, my parents used to take us up to Glencoe. We used to go skiing and used to go fishing. So I remember sheltering under these trees because it was always raining. So that's where I got my affinity.
And paying homage to it. Well, I was actually, now of course I haven't got my glasses on and I've lost the place, but I wanted to turn to, well, maybe you can find, I wanted to turn to the famous oak tree that my cousin Robbie Buxton and his wife Iona have got at Kimberley Hall. I'm not sure why it's so famous. I think isn't it been there since 15th century or something? I mean,
well, it has, but there's a tree in here that was planted in 750.
Ooh, where's that?
So that's in Windsor Great Park, and it's in a private area. So I think that the name
the Queen's got it.
The name of the king at the time was King Offa.
Yeah.
He was on the throne, and that's what the tree's called. It's called Offa's Oak.
I mean, the history of trees. I mean, people always laugh about tree hugging, but actually, when you find a beautiful tree, you do sort of want to go up and feel it. And
well, I mean, I think that one of the reasons I got people to choose a tree and then tell the stories behind them was exactly that. So you could learn about their lives a bit, about the history of them.
yeah.
So, you know, giving trees a bit of a voice about where they've been, what they've seen and what they've done in their
Well,
life.
find us the Kimberley one, and then you showed
let
me
me
the
just
other
have a
one,
quick look.
Mohammed Al-Fayed. Wasn't that his tree?
He was, he's
That was a pretty spectacular tree.
It's a weeping...
I mean, the book isn't only full of well-known celebs or upper crust people with landed gentry. There's some...
For instance, see, that's Windsor Great Park.
Whoa. Is that? But that's not the.
That's not Offa's Oak, but this is this is another area which is totally private.
Good.
So, you know, I managed to sneak in without being arrested.
Well,
no, actually, I had permission.
Well, the Queen might as well have some good trees. I mean, she does so much good for the country.
She did know I was there.
There's no flies on her.
There's no flies on her.
It makes me feel proud to be British, actually, because we do have this tradition, and we've always loved trees. And you know, before we were interviewed, I was talking about Felix Dennis, sadly no more on this planet. You know, who owned, well, apart from the Oz scandals, you could say, in the 60s, which is when I knew him, but he had the Forest of Dennis. He was mad about trees, and I'm so pleased that you're also doing things with trees. And I just, how are you going to get this message across to more people?
I mean, I think the thing is, you know, with the book, if it's all about making people understand trees and make them look at them maybe in a slightly different way and appreciate them that much more. So really, with looking at the pictures and reading the stories, hopefully that might make a difference.
Well,
that's one of the reasons I've done it. But
I'm still smarting because some twats, and that's the polite word. You know, I live in South Kensington, and right by the station, some moronic people cut down a really old cherry tree.
Yeah,
How can you cut down a cherry tree? And my dentist's wife and his assistant went out and were pleading with this man not to cut down the tree that used to have the most marvellous blossom. And every time I walk past, I give them the evil eye, because this means evil eye in Italian. How dare they cut down a tree? May they rot in hell.
I mean, it's harder now to get permission. That's the Kimberley.
Does it have a name? Kimberley Hall, Robbie and Iona Buxton's tree. I've seen it many a time, actually, but it's...
But their collection of oaks are, you know, some of the oldest.
Yes.
And some of the best. So they've got an amazing collection.
What other diseases should we all be worrying about? Apart, we've talked about the oak one.
Well, there was the ash dieback.
Yeah.
You know, and we have a lot of ash trees, and it's coming down the country now. It's in the north of England. And then the problem with that disease is you can tell because of the crown of the tree, it starts dying from the top, and then obviously you have to chop them down. So a lot of them have come down.
Even if it starts dying from the top, even if you kind of amputate quite a bit, it's too late.
Once it gets in, that's
it's
it.
like,
and you know, they're trying to, you know, the thing is it's a question of having the funds to research. You know, it costs a lot of money to research those sort of things.
now I know that trees aren't your only thing. You're a photographer.
Yeah.
What else would you, what other strings to your bow do you like doing?
Well, I mean, I started doing a lot of portraits, but a lot of sort of film posters.
Yeah.
You know, so I spent a lot of time in LA. I did book covers, film posters, movie stars. But I do have to say that I had to stop doing that because I had to spend 3 days with Mariah Carey.
Was that enough to drive you round the bend?
It was enough for me to think, I'm not sure I really want to be doing portraits of people anymore.
There must have been some good people there.
No, to be honest, most of them.
Did you have any favourite ones? Can I be personal and ask?
Very famous ones.
Yeah.
Actually, you know who I think was the one that most impressed me, actually, was the Princess of Wales. Because she was so completely unaffected by her fame. She was so normal and down to earth. I was so impressed. She was one of the best.
Well, I agree with you about Mariah Carey's got a funny reputation. Perhaps we better not say anything about that. So then you left taking photographs of, I mean, you know, for films and whatever, and then what?
And then I did a series of books called Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it was all the sexy hotels around Europe to go and stay in.
Oh, give us a tip. Which would you mean to go and have the best sex in?
Not necessarily the best sex, but yeah, possibly, probably was. I mean, that's why it was called Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because when
Yeah.
people checked into a hotel, the anonymous name was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I would say that the best one I went to was in Italy and Rome, called Napoleon III.
Okay.
And you went in this rickety old lift up onto about the second floor. So it was all sort of crumbling piazza. And you walk through this door into this. It was only one room in the hotel.
Oh, nice.
Well, sorry, two rooms.
Private.
It was totally private, but it was Napoleon's sort of boudoir. So you walk into an amazing sitting room, then you go through into a huge dining room, and you go through into a massive bedroom, and then you pull back a mirror and go into the bathroom. But it was an incredible space.
Right. It's obviously booked up well in
Yeah.
advance. Oh, I should have a look out for these books. I mean, how many editions did you do?
I think I did about eight editions.
Really?
Yeah, because we did France, we did Italy, we did a couple in the UK.
Oh, there are some
Germany.
in the UK.
There are. In fact, no, actually the best one I went to was in the New Forest.
Okay.
And it was 3 barns. There was only 3 rooms, but there were whole barns.
Mm.
And it was owned by a porn star. Not that many difference, but it was quite interesting.
Well, you can make money out of porn, so I'm told. And so if you can... Well, I love great hotels. I'd be quite happy going round reviewing hotels because I used to do work for the Taj Group, which is India. So
yeah, amazing.
I love them because their motto is the guest is God.
Yeah.
And so it's how you look after them.
Fantastic hotels.
Yeah, so I'm sure you know them too.
Yeah.
So then what did you do after those books?
So after those books, I more went into fine art. So that's now the sort of area I'm in, hence this book. And I've had a few 4 or 5 different exhibitions.
Of photographic things?
Photographic exhibitions, yeah. I had one on Battersea Power Station. And I did that in conjunction with Nick Mason, because it was the 40th anniversary of that album, of the cover.
I've still got a sweatshirt with a pig on the front, as one had in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, Pink Floyd, who wouldn't have known about that?
Amazing band. But so I did a sort of exhibition. I got commissioned by Guy Liberté, the Cirque du Soleil guy, back in about 2005 or 6. And he was the first person to get planning permission to convert Battersea into something.
Really?
Yeah, but unfortunately he was backed by this very wealthy guy in the Far East and the market crashed. So that was the end of that.
But it still is, London has got some iconic places, and that is one of them.
No, that is one. It's amazing, yeah. I mean, it's amazing what they do now.
Yeah. So now, once you've got this out, what's your plans for the future?
So luckily enough, I'm doing an exhibition in Canary Wharf, I hope. So
oh yes, at the Temple of Art and Music?
Yeah,
at the Mercato Metropolitano. Well, that sounds like a good idea. So it'll be pictures of...
So it's going to be some of the pictures that are from the book, that are artworks, yeah. So it's going to be a selection.
And where do you spend your most of your days? Where are you?
Well, I was
reside?
in Soho until the pandemic came along. Then I had to move my office back to Shepherd's Bush.
Well, I'm rather fond of Soho, though hasn't it changed?
It has changed, but it is a very cool place to be.
It is indeed. Well, so basically, this message has to be save the trees, buy the book, and maybe you'll be doing volume 2 or something. Have you
Possibly.
got a plan of it?
Well, they did. It might. I think the next one's a bit more of a global one, because this one is just the UK and Ireland.
I think it should be global.
Yeah. Well, I've done quite a few global trees, because I asked Richard Branson, what's your favourite tree? And he said, it's a baobab in Madagascar.
Which, of course, can save your life if you're in the desert. If you find a baobab, you won't die, because you can at least drink water from it.
Yeah.
I learnt these kind of things I grew up with Tintin. I mean, Tintin was my hero when I was a kid, so you learnt all sorts of things, how to survive in difficult conditions.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so pleased that we could do Globetrotting with you, and of course the book launch is imminent. If I look at my watch, it's any minute now. Friends and relations will be turning up. And it's been really great to have you onto Globetrotting. And we have to think of some decent play-out music, which we will do, that has a tree reference to it.
Yeah.
Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, because when I had my exhibition, we did we did some music, which was the forest waking up, with all the birds singing, and he did it. And then he went into we can maybe.
Send me a track and we'll whack it on. That would be great. I mean, I know there's that great trancey stuff that everyone was listening to about 25 years ago called Deep Forest, but because everyone likes a bit of trance, well, I do.
Yeah.
It depends what era you come from. The old ageing hippie still loves a bit of trance. So get a portrait of the tree, help save our trees, especially our UK trees, but it's a global thing. Adrian, I want to thank you so much for letting me interview you.
A pleasure. Well, thank you.
And thank you all for watching Globetrotting with Gillespie. Till next time. Ain't no difference between me and you. We're all alive, you and I. Beneath the skin, we all have blood, and we share the same sky. I look at you, and you look at me. There's one thing I can verify. We all have a universal soul, and we share the same sky. We all have a beating heart. There should be nothing to tell us apart. Black or white, rich or poor, only lovers should apply to be a part of the human race, and we share the same sky. Life's a mirror, oh can't you see? There's no reason to cry. We're all the same, you and me, and we share the same sky. Oh, don't give up and don't give in. Just play the game till you die. Loving all and serving all, and sharing the same sky. We share the same sky. In the the seeds of love. Let it rain like tears from heaven. Pour down the light from above. And as the heart grows, it opens like the petals of a rose. Can you smell the sweet perfume, like the jasmine flower at night? This fragrance touches everyone when all the hearts unite to become part of the whole.